Hang on tight because this is going to get good. On the outskirts of London, 3 astronomy students, let's call them the 3 Musketeers, are about to become the protagonists of a sci-fi adventure that will take your breath away. One ordinary day, while they were engaged in their usual studies and antics, the sky gives them a spectacle that would change their lives forever. An alien invasion, believe it or not. But let's backtrack a bit. Before our intrepid Musketeers realize what's happening, the film takes us to a breathtaking space panorama. In the solitude of space, the camera focuses on a lonely red planet, our neighbor, Mars. Without any warning, as if they were fireworks, a rocket is launched from the Martian surface, followed by another and another, until an armada is formed heading towards our home, Earth. A genuine interplanetary invasion, I tell you. Back on Earth, our 3 Musketeers decide to spend the night in a forest near London. The reason? According to reports, a meteorite has fallen in the area, and they, as good astronomy students, don't want to miss the show. While looking for the fallen sky object, Herbert, one of the boys, notices something strange among the vegetation. He can't resist his curiosity and ventures into the bushes to investigate, leaving his friends somewhat surprised. When he returns, his friends play a prank on him and burst into laughter. They resume their search, but Herbert, with his imaginative mind, spouts an outlandish theory. He suggests that Martians exist and could be planning an invasion, just like in that Tim Burton movie. When their GPS's battery dies, they decide to spend the night at Herbert's house, which is nearby. But as soon as they leave, an alien-looking creature, with tentacles and a greenish tone that glows in the dark, emerges from nowhere. Could Herbert's theory be real? The next day, a new day full of surprises begins. Hannah, the only girl in the group, records Herbert playing a prank on the always sleepy Ogilvy. After a small argument with his mother, Herbert refuses to visit his family, and Hannah, always supportive, comforts him. After breakfasting on delicious pancakes and calming down a bit, the students discover on the news that a meteorite fall has been reported near their location. Upon arrival, they find a scene worthy of a sci-fi movie. A crowd of people gathered around a giant, strangely shaped rock. It seems like the perfect place for a selfie. But no, our young astronomers have other plans. Hannah, the boldest of the group, suggests circumventing the crowd and approaching the meteorite from the back, with the intention of avoiding the police discovering them. With a mix of excitement and awe, the students extend their hands towards the strange object. Ogilvy, the bravest, or perhaps the most reckless, even burns himself by touching it. After recording the meteorite, the friends conclude that it's not a rock, confirming Herbert's theory. Martians do exist, and they've landed on Earth. The space object suddenly opens up, revealing an octopus-like alien. Hannah suggests running away, but Herbert, hypnotized by the strange creature, can't look away. When they try to leave, a police officer stops them and tells them to wait for their academic advisor. The professor apparently is already used to the students' shenanigans. Herbert, however, can't hide his concern and expresses to the professor that the alien might be hostile. And, as if they were in an Alfred Hitchcock movie, his words become reality. The space artifact opens again, and from it emerges a gigantic creature with 3 long legs and tentacles. The creature fires a beam of fire, incinerating the people trying to flee. The students, hidden among the crowd, manage to record the alien as it passes by them, without noticing their presence. Our daring young astronomers, mounted on their trusty bikes, decide to return to the city. In the sky, they see a trail of black smoke, indicating that another capsule has landed. When they get home, they see a squadron of Air Force fighters heading in the direction of the alien invaders. On the television, a clearly excited man is proclaiming that the rocks falling from the sky are divine punishment for mankind's sins. Meanwhile, the doctor and the military are trying to calm the population, insisting there's no need for civilians to attempt to establish contact with the extraterrestrials. As they try to contact their families, the students discover that phone and internet connections are not working. Herbert speculates that the invaders may have come from Mars. Hours later, Hannah notices movement in the garden. The figure hidden in the bushes turns out to be a man, Ben, a British artillery soldier who seems to have seen better days. He's seeking shelter, and after brief deliberation, Herbert decides to let him in. Ben tells them that the invaders have decimated the army. After taking a swig of whiskey to calm down, he freshens up and explains that he only survived by sheer miracle. He tripped and fell, just as the aliens were firing their energy beam. The young people wonder if the military will be able to regain control of the situation, but Ben recommends fleeing. Herbert wants to find his mother and suggests they use conventional walkie-talkies to communicate. Determined to survive, the students and the soldier gather food supplies and mount their bikes to leave the city. As they move forward, they notice more fighter jets in the sky, and Ben gets in touch with the bunker for updates. The situation seems to be worsening. A combat tripod is already patrolling the city limits, ravaging everything in its path with its death ray. Along their way, they encounter a military patrol that informs them a mass evacuation of civilians is underway, and the students shouldn't look for their relatives on their own. The students, led by Ben, make their way to the evacuation base. A large crowd of survivors has begun to accumulate, all hoping to escape the terror that has been unleashed. But there's no time for dawdling. Ben, with a cunning glint in his eyes, manages to locate a boat. Once on board, the students and Ben watch, with a lump in their throats, as a flock of birds flies over the forest. At that moment, a Martian tripod breaks into their line of sight, silhouetted against the sky. The next act is a real display of terror and devastation. The alien machines, resembling gigantic tripods, emerge from nowhere and release their Martian machinery of destruction. Human military forces with bravery and determination manage to take down one of the invaders. However, the celebration is short-lived. The silence becomes deafening when they see another contingent of alien vehicles approaching. In the face of this scene, humans with palpable fear etched on their faces are forced to abandon the battlefield. The Martians, with a cold and calculated efficiency, incinerate tanks and helicopters, crushing any hope of resistance. Amid the chaos, Hannah stumbles and falls, passing out. Her friends, with desperate urgency, manage to carry her to a safe place in the woods. Night falls like a heavy and somber blanket. Hannah wakes up, and the group, exhausted but resolute, decides to return to their boat. They row towards London, their gaze fixed on the flames devouring the cities on the horizon. After having witnessed the harshness of the Martian occupation, they seek refuge in the forest. On their way, they encounter a peculiar man, a journalist who, in the face of adversity, has adopted faith and become a priest. His pessimism is almost palpable, and he fervently proclaims that the invasion is the end of the world, a divine punishment that will sweep away humanity. His sermon causes palpable tension within the group. Herbert, looking to avoid further theological debates, asks for directions to continue their journey. The students decide to move on, leaving the preacher behind, but he, clinging to his apocalyptic rhetoric, decides to follow them, promising salvation to all. Soon, they find an abandoned house. Inside, the supplies suggest a hasty departure by its owner. As they divide the provisions, a conflict breaks out between Ogilvy and the priest. Harsh words turn into physical threats, and the priest brandishes a knife. Herbert intervenes, but the priest, far from showing peace, responds with a direct threat. Amid the tension, the priest seems uncertain about what to do next. Finally, he lowers the weapon, releasing Herbert. Ogilvy suggests they should leave, but the priest insists they must stay, claiming their fate is not yet decided. Everyone remains silent, uncomfortable, as the priest lights a candle and offers bread to Hannah. Then, with a smile on his face, the preacher begins to talk about repopulating the planet in a way that belittles women. Wine flows freely, and Herbert watches suspiciously as the priest abandons his Christian principles. The old man confesses that he now feels closer to God than ever. Before retiring to rest, he warns Herbert not to disturb his sleep. The night progresses slowly, bringing with it a feeling of unease. Thirst drives Herbert to get up in search of water. He notices the priest's knife and considers taking it, but a noise outside distracts him. A Martian tripod appears through the window, passing by without stopping, but leaving a sense of imminent danger. The priest, abruptly awakened, threatens the students with his knife and proclaims divine punishments. The students beg him to calm down, but the preacher insists on proclaiming God's will. Suddenly, a black tentacle appears in the window. The Martians on the tripod grab the priest and drag him out of the house. The tentacle returns looking for more prey, but the students manage to hide. Not finding anyone else, the tentacle retreats. At dawn's break, Ben's voice sounds on the radio, reaching his comrades' ears. They reveal their whereabouts, and the young astronomers set off. They traverse streets that once bustled with life, now deserted, covered in a strange red grass that entangles the houses. Among the vastness of the trees, they catch a signal atop a hill, a reflection of the sun that appears to be the work of their comrade Ben. Seeing his friends, his face lights up with joy, and he guides them to his shelter. Ben, with a somber tone, reveals that the alien landings continue and humanity is losing the battle. Encouraging the others to join his daring mission, he leads them towards the nearest landing site. Martian tripods patrol the streets of London, unleashing chaos with their lethal rays. The horror would be enough to break anyone, but these astronomers and warriors seem to be injected with irrational optimism. Stealthily, they glide through the deserted streets, hiding in the shadow of the city's monuments. The group ventures into the heart of enemy territory until they come across one of the landing ships, which at first glance could be mistaken for meteorites. Herbert and Hannah decide to delve into the uncertainty to discover what the ship is hiding. From the safety of the dense forest, they witness the tripods depositing something into the mothership, which seems to house strange eggs. The aliens appear to be in full nesting process. Amid this revelation, shared by Hannah with Ben, the extraterrestrials capture Ogilvy. Without a second thought, Ben runs to the rescue. The soldier confronts the tripod, shooting with his weapon. But the caliber is insignificant for the colossal machine that, offended, directs its space tentacle towards him. In a final act of bravery, the captured soldier pulls out a grenade and pulls the pin. The explosion shreds the tripod. Out of control, the tentacle releases Ogilvy, who is picked up by his friends. With no time to mourn Ben's loss, the three flee as another tripod pursues them, firing at them with its fire ray. They take refuge under a bridge, out of sight of the omniscient machine, where Hannah proposes to hide in the sewers. In their dark haven, the friends debate how long they should remain hidden. Ogilvy refuses to languish in the sewers, triggering a discussion that Hannah manages to quell. As the night advances, they wonder how much the world will have changed by the time they manage to get out. But at dawn, an unsettling silence reigns on the surface. Cautiously, they emerge from the sewers and find a desolate scene with no tripods in sight. They discover a bush of the enigmatic red grass, now withered. Near this lies a small mutant octopus, similar to the one they had seen in the meteorite, motionless. With caution, they throw stones at it before approaching, and seeing the tripod from which the alien emerged before perishing. Suddenly, Dr. Stint makes her appearance, arriving like a bolt along with a group of soldiers. She explains that the alien invaders have fallen to Earth's viruses and bacteria, to which their Martian immune system was not prepared. In the midst of the conversation, Herbert's radio comes to life. The army has rescued his mother and is in the process of sending her home. The friends, brimming with relief and joy, climb into the military vehicle and drive away from the place. A voiceover reflects on how microorganisms have defeated the invading army and its future offspring. But in an unexpected twist, a tentacle suddenly emerges from an egg, like a note of hope and affirmation of life.